After the tragedy of the Titanic, if people ever placed complete trust in a ship again, it was in the MV Explorer. It was the world's first cruise ship specifically built to navigate icy waters. Its performance was so reliable that it had a record of rescuing other ships stuck in Antarctica. But on the night of November 23, 2007, an incident unfolded in the dark and desolate Southern Ocean that forced the captain to make a devastating decision: to abandon the ship in the middle of the sea. Let's take a deeper look. A revolutionary. Shipwreck in the 1960s, traveling to Antarctica by sea was almost unthinkable. The region was blanketed in thick ice, and any attempt by a regular ship to reach those waters was considered a death wish. But a Swedish-American businessman named Lars-Erik Lindblad accepted this challenge. He envisioned building a ship that could safely sail through the Antarctic and help people fulfill their dream of seeing the southernmost continent. He had a special ship built, measuring 240 feet in length and weighing more than 2,300 tons. It was initially named Lindblad Explorer. Compared to the Titanic or the RMS Olympic, it was smaller, but in terms of strength and design, it was unmatched. Unlike standard ships that need icebreakers to navigate icy seas, the Explorer was classified as Ice Class 1A, meaning it could break ice on its own. Its hull was built in a way that the ship's own weight helped it crush through ice. It could carry 104 passengers and 54 crew members, and it offered luxury along with safety, especially with its double-hulled structure built to withstand Antarctic conditions. A history of successful journeys upon launch, the ship gained worldwide fame. It fulfilled the dreams of thousands who wished to see Antarctica. Over time, it changed ownership, and in 2004, it was bought by the Toronto-based travel company Gap Adventures, who renamed it MV Explorer. By 2007, MV Explorer had completed over 250 successful expeditions to Antarctica. But in November 2007, it embarked on what would be its final voyage, a journey from which it would never return. The final expedition on November 11, 2007, MV Explorer began its 19-day journey from Ushuaia, Argentina, passing through the Falkland Islands and South Georgia Island, ultimately heading to Antarctica. On board were 100 passengers and 54 crew members, ready to experience the majestic frozen world once more. The ship was under the command of Captain Bengt Wyman, a 49-year-old with years of experience navigating icy waters. His reputation reassured the passengers. However, the unpredictable Antarctic conditions always pose new challenges, no matter the captain's experience. At the start of the journey, Captain Wyman made a surprising decision. He changed the planned route. His intention was to avoid heavier ice fields and take a more open path. For the first 10 days, everything went smoothly. Trouble in the ice on the evening of November 22nd, as the sun set and passengers retreated to their cabins, the ship entered a dense ice zone. The captain announced over the speaker system that passengers might hear repeated loud banging noises due to ice collisions and that they should remain calm. He slowed the ship down to just 5 knots, about 10 km/h. The Explorer was carefully moving from thin surface ice into thicker, older layers, but in the darkness of night, around 10 p.m., the ship suddenly came to a halt with a loud thud. Initially, most people ignored it, thinking it was expected. However, the ship had struck a large mass of hard ice. The ship soon resumed movement, continuing forward. What no one knew at the time was that the impact had punctured the ship's hull, and water was slowly seeping into the lower compartments. Panic and evacuation passengers were jolted awake when cold water started flooding into their cabins, which were located in the ship's lower decks. Panic spread. Everyone began scrambling to save themselves. Water was now entering through electrical sockets, air vents, and door gaps. When the captain realized the water pressure was increasing uncontrollably, he understood the situation was now beyond repair. He immediately ordered the evacuation of the ship, and the crew began deploying lifeboats. Though the ship had exited the ice zone, the flooding had caused it to tilt to one side, making operations difficult. The crew quickly worked to evacuate everyone. The ship was still 46 kilometers away from its intended destination, and with this level of damage, there was no way it could make it. To make matters worse, the freezing waters of Antarctica and the chilling winds made it nearly impossible to survive long in lifeboats. Captain Weeman began broadcasting SOS signals to nearby ships. The distress call was picked up by two vessels, the National Geographic Endeavor and the Nordnorge, but both were quite far away. Losing power, losing hope. As the flooding reached the ship's separator room, the area housing the ship's main power systems, all electrical power was lost. Now, in the middle of the frozen Southern Ocean, the MV Explorer was completely dark and adrift, with engines shut down, at the mercy of the waves and icy winds. The captain feared that if the engines weren't restarted, the wind could push the ship back into the dense ice, leading to further damage. The crew made a manual attempt to restart the engines, and miraculously it worked, for a while. Evacuation efforts intensified. Soon, all 150-plus people on board were transferred into 4 lifeboats and lowered into the freezing water. The captain and a few crew members stayed behind, trying to stabilize the ship, but the engines failed again. Realizing there was no more hope, the remaining few also evacuated. Rescue and aftermath now, over 150 people were floating on lifeboats, in the coldest ocean on Earth, under the open sky, waiting desperately for help. Freezing winds made the wait more unbearable. After 4 long hours, a rescue ship, Nordnorge, finally arrived. Everyone was rescued successfully. No lives were lost, but the MV Explorer was doomed. A full investigation later revealed that the tragedy occurred due to a misjudgment by Captain Weeman. The ice he had believed to be fresh and thin was actually years-old thick ice which the ship could not withstand. Today, the wreck of the MV Explorer lies 25 miles southeast of Penguin Island at a depth of 300 meters beneath the icy waters.